don't go bananas for drugs. Wait, I don't even know if that was supposed to be funny at all. Hey guys, it's William here. Welcome back to the Shape game. My brain was like, quick, what do you say? And I was like, the Shape game? So anyways, today we're going to be talking about steroids. Specifically, I'm going to put it right here, the name of it, the specific one I took, because it's a medication, and those names are hard. Dexamethasone. I took this right after I got out of the hospital the first time when it was for my biopsy and the high blood pressure and all that stuff. And they were like, hey, just to control your stability and whatnot, take this. Only problem was the doctors had said you need to start weaning off at this point so you won't be on a huge dosage of it for a long time. And then the person who prescribed it, I guess, didn't get that message. And so for weeks upon weeks after being out of the hospital, I'm on this really high dosage of this steroid. And so I started having really crappy side effects. It just wasn't great. So you can see my weight now, what I weigh. I weigh about 230 at the moment, 230 pounds. When I went into the hospital, when all this started before steroids, I was on about 250. And then I lost some when I got out. And then when I started the steroids, it made me really hungry. So I'll show you all these pictures so you know what I look now, and then I'll show you a picture right now coming up what I looked like right before I went into the hospital so you can see how I looked. And the reason I mention all this is because there are a few side effects we're going to go over today. Number one is you're really hungry all the time, which I was like, whoa, I can eat like a whole pizza. Now I'm back to being a teenager. And even after eating a whole pizza, an hour later, I'm starving again. It was not great, especially factoring in you didn't really taste anything. I lost pretty much taste buds in general. Unless something was really salty or really sweet, it just blurry. It tasted like blurriness. That's really what it was. There was no taste to it. It sucked, really. Even sodas and drinks. And then some things just tasted bad, like lemonade. The lemonade from Chick-fil-A has not always been one of my favorite lemonades, but I went to have that. I'm like, hey, that's strong. I'll try that. That tasted disgusting. It was just a weird flavor. So it really changed my taste buds for the worse. So I could eat all this food, but at the same time, I didn't really enjoy any of it. Not that it necessarily tasted bad like the lemonade did, but I couldn't taste it at all. So then, of course, I had a sweet tea from Taco Bell, and if you know anything about sweet teas from fast food chains, they really over-sweeten them because they're like, hey, you want sweet tea? Let's put 5 pounds of sugar in this thing. I could taste that. It tasted like normal sweet tea, but I gave some to my mom, and she was like, oh my gosh, how much sugar do they put in that? And so that's when I started to realize, hey, the only way I can notice flavor is if it's something really salty, so I love fried foods that really tasted great, or you know, what I was saying, sweet foods. The bummer though about the fried food thing is that I couldn't eat chicken. It was like another thing I couldn't eat was chicken. So fried chicken's amazing, couldn't really eat that even though I craved fried foods. So it pretty much limited it to, I could have steak, which was great. I could have like hot dogs and bratwurst. I like eating meat, if you couldn't tell. And then, you know, fried catfish and fish I could enjoy. Probably salmon, just regular salmon, oven baked, is probably the best meal that I had while on this. Only problem is with eating a lot of food, the steroids aren't helping you lose the weight of all you're eating. You do gain weight, and so I gained a lot of weight. It probably wouldn't have been noticeable because I think the most I've ever weighed is 265, and I was around that while this was happening. But great news for me, another side effect of this is it made my face really puffy. So I'm going to show some pictures of that, and I'm not even kidding. You can really tell the difference. I might even put a side-by-side so you can see the picture from earlier that I showed what I look like before taking steroids and what after. And so you can really see, like, it went from my face being like a jar shaped to more of a circle. And it was not fun, especially when my grandparents decided to take family photos right around there. I was like, hey, I'm not going to look like me. I'm going to look like a circle. And I did, so those photos weren't used. It's like, great. Besides just all the food related stuff and whatnot, insomnia. Horrible insomnia. I've had insomnia for a long time, but it was getting better. I was taking melatonin, 5 milligrams, every other night or so whenever I would feel like, hey, I gotta wake up early. It's gonna take me like 30, 45, maybe an hour minutes to fall asleep, so I better take this. And with this, I needed to take it. And even then, it might not help because this just kept me up. Sometimes my legs would get really restless to the point I couldn't sit still or lay down. And so if I was laying down and my legs just started getting restless, I would have to get up and walk around, even if it was like 2, 3 a.m. Some nights I would just play video games till I felt that my legs had calmed down enough, which is a bummer. Then, on top of that, I would wake up, and if I didn't get up out of bed right away, even if I did, I would have Charlie horses, or my legs would get, like, I could feel it coming on, like my leg would be like, started twitching. I'm like, oh great, this is not good. And then spasm, bam, Charlie horse, and my leg would be sore all day. And that happened literally every night, which was another not fun thing. And then on top of all those problems, I would just have sore legs in general. Like, it was even hard to like just exist in like day-to-day life because my legs were sore constantly. And I wasn't even working out or anything like that. They just felt like I had done too many exercises and my legs were like, stop, please. So I'm having all these problems and more that I probably am not even remembering correctly. And so we talked to the doctor and they're like, well, why are you still on steroids? And we're like, wait, what? We're still on this amount. And the doctor's like, wow, that is a massive dosage. That was only while you were in the hospital and you were supposed to be weaned off by now. And I was like, oh crap, that sucks. So they start to wean me off of the steroids. Hey, finally, that's awesome. Finally getting off steroids. Of course, not all things go as planned. So I wean off, and then the 24 hours after my last dosage, I'm just bedridden. I've lost all energy. I can't get up. I've never felt that rough. And it's like, I've never had a hangover, but I feel like that's what it would be like. I just couldn't get up. I had massive headaches. It was horrible. It was the withdrawals hitting me. And I was like, well, this is horrible. Worse than the problems I was having while I was on, the steroid. And I cannot remember the correct word, and I apologize. But what happens with this particular steroid, or maybe all steroids, and I'm just ignorant, but is it takes over releasing or releases more of a natural thing in your body. And so if you're on it for too long, your body will stop releasing that naturally, and then the steroid will be the only thing providing that to you. So if you get off of the steroids quickly, your body will be like, whoa, I'm not making this. You're not giving them to me through steroids. What are we gonna do? And you just gotta wait like a few days or a week for your body to start pumping that stuff out again. Only problem is you're in pain that whole time because your body's like, sorry for the sound effects. So that's such a bummer. I talked to the doctor. They're like, get back on the steroids. So I was back on them. I didn't, and the only reason I got off them finally was because they said you can get off of them. We just got to wean you off correctly. I finally got off of them because I was out of them and I started weaning myself off, and I was like, well, this is gonna suck. I'm gonna be in pain. And a few days go by and I'm like, hey Dad, when does the pain start kicking in, And he's like, how long has it been? I was like, it's been 3-4 days. And he's like, no, you're good now. I was like, oh my gosh, finally. So if you have to take them completely, that's, understandable if it's required for your treatment. But like I said, you want to get off them as soon as you can, because if your body starts becoming dependent on them, you're going to get off of them eventually, and it's going to be sucky. It's going to be painful for you, and it's not going to feel good at all. And yeah, I can't say I don't just recommend not taking them. I'm not a doctor, I'm sure it helped me at the time, but of course, make sure you talk to your doctor and the nurses about how you can get off them at a certain time, because the communication in hospitals, which I will make a video about eventually, about how great inter-hospital medical communication is, it's not really, but I guess in that hospital, they just didn't communicate well enough so that I was stuck on a drug for much longer than I needed to be. And that's the only time something like that's ever happened with any of the hospitals I've been to. They've all done really well about getting me off at certain times or getting me appropriately dosed out, But this one time, oh jeez, it was pretty sucky. So thank you guys so much for watching this. Hopefully you got some information out of this. Sorry I didn't know some words, but if I did know a word and it was hard to pronounce, I definitely put it up on the screen for you guys so you guys could look it up on your own or say, hey, that's what I have. You pronounced it weird, but I can see it on the screen. Hopefully that was helpful. I have a lot more videos planned. I always say that because I want you guys to know what else I'm putting up out there. So I want to talk to my family, talk about my family's experiences, how I've dealt with my family. A lot of my family was into healing and like natural cures and stuff like that. It's a fun road. I'm sure you'll definitely get your family talking about that kind of stuff. Hopefully not, but it's just crazy. Lots of stuff, a lot of videos I want to put out to help other people who've gone through crazy situations like me, or to just smile along with me and be like, hey, if this guy can handle it, I think I can handle it. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching and stick around.